Studio production begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, welcome to Community Foundation Spotlight. I'm Erica Joseph, the president of the Community Foundation, and we welcome you to the program where we like to focus on philanthropy. And today, the guest we have with us is Claudia Nagel. She's the executive director at Diakonia. And welcome, Claudia. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Erica.
Now, one of the things that we always like to highlight at the Community Foundation is this sort of, we focus on philanthropy, that's our mission, but it's really about every person doing what they can do to help make a difference in the community. And so philanthropists can be people who give $10 a month or $10 a year to their favorite charity or volunteer. And I know that you all at Diakonia really embrace that mission in doing the work that you do to serve the community. So for any of our viewers who are not familiar with Diakonia, maybe we could just start with a little background on who you are and what you do for us in the community.
Diakonia is located, our offices are located in West Ocean City, although we serve the Lower Shore. And we were founded in 1972 as an outreach ministry for the Mennonite Church, and so we've been around for 40 plus years. We probably are best known for our emergency housing program that houses individuals and families who are homeless. But we have a variety of other programs, our emergency food pantry, a supportive services for veterans and their families program, really working to provide services across the community to assist our most vulnerable.
Now, and I know that you have, the emergency shelter and the housing component is often sort of what's visible and what Diakonia is known for. But you mentioned all those other programs that have been developed, over the years to meet very specific and critical needs right here on the Lower Eastern Shore. You mentioned that you are based in Worcester County, but that you have spread services across the Lower Shore. Specifically, I know your services for veterans is one that really brings you across the community. Could you talk a little bit about that, supportive services for veterans and families that you mentioned?
That's our newest endeavor, to provide services to individuals and families on the Lower Shore. The program is it's grant funded through the VA to really address the needs of veterans and their families who are at risk of homelessness. One of the initiatives across the country is to reduce veterans' homelessness. And so that was a funding opportunity that we felt very strongly about providing. It's a tri-county grant, so we have services are available to veterans and their families in Somerset, Wicomico, and Worcester County. We have an outreach component to go out and speak, to raise awareness across the community of our services. We have case management services. There's the ability to provide short-term financial assistance to help prevent or to get veterans and their families rehoused, and get them connected to benefits that they may be entitled to because of the service that they've provided to our country.
And you mentioned there that it's that part of that is prevention, which I think for anyone who's a provider serving either those homeless or at risk of being homeless, it certainly is a much more stabilizing force for that family or individual to not lose their housing to start with, but then also just a better use of resources. Once they're homeless, I would imagine the process of getting them reestablished and self-sustainable is much more challenging in terms of time and financial resources.
That's very true. So if we have a family that, or an individual that we can provide some short-term assistance to, either soft touch services, like getting them connected to other resources in our community, or that short-term financial assistance, they will maintain that stability of having housing. Because once a family or individual loses that, it's a very steep climb to get things reestablished. Speak nothing of the trauma and the emotional toll that it takes on all members of the family.
Now, we were talking specifically about your services that are focused on veterans, and I know that because of the range of partnerships that Diakonia has in the community and participation in a number of, sort of local collaborative entities that the Community Foundation is also a part of, I don't know that the community always recognizes how much work is going on within the charitable sector, the nonprofit sector, the government programs, the health department, social services, all of these entities, the school districts who come together. And there's two groups that I'm thinking of specifically, both the Homeless Alliance that serves the Lower Shore, that basically help to identify this need for veterans by their annual count. And that network is a huge collection of different service providers at all different, in all different sectors of the community who work to help better serve the homeless population. And I would imagine that most people who are outside of that world don't see all of that work that's happening on a monthly basis.
That's very true, because our work is dependent upon strong relationships in and amongst the providers who work across our community to improve the lives of individuals and families who are struggling and who are our most vulnerable. So that on a monthly basis, members of halls come together to do planning and to work together on how best to meet the needs of our community.
And as not necessarily as a product of that, but I know that something that's very similar being modeled, focused on the veterans community, and Diakonia serves on that as well, is the Lower Shore Veterans Network that meets at the Community Foundation once a month. And if any viewers are interested, I think, in knowing more about either one of those groups, they could contact the Community Foundation and get that insight. But that's another network with some of the similar partners, but also new ones who meet on a consistent basis to share needs, share resources, help better serve the population that we're trying to meet the needs of without duplicating and, sort of working over each other. With limited resources in a community, it just makes sense to share that.
Because financial resources are limited. So if we neglect the opportunity to come together and to work together and to plan together, we're really missing the opportunity to sort of synergistically put those resources together and plan. And it's a wonderful opportunity, and the Community Foundation has been critical in helping to encourage that kind of cooperation and collaboration across the community.
Well, we appreciate being part of it. And today you're watching Community Foundation Spotlight. I'm Erica Joseph, and our guest today is Claudia Nagel, who is the Executive Director at Diakonia. So for any viewers, what does Diakonia mean?
Diakonia is a Greek word, and it means in service to others. So it's really a name that works. Folks always ask, it's a great conversation starter, but it really is about being in service to our community.
And you all there in West Ocean City, visiting your facility, it's always a hub of activity. The residents that are there, everyone is, visitors to the food pantry. I'm sure that you, in some ways, wish that there was a lot less activity, because that would mean the need was not so great. But talk a little bit about what, right there on site at the Diakonia facility, what all the services are that you provide to the community.
We'll start with our emergency food pantry, and that is open 7 days a week, and it's available. People can visit it one time a month to help, and the whole purpose of that is to help them stretch their food budget, because there are many individuals and families across the community who have food insecurity, and so we're there, and that part of our programming is completely done by volunteers. We have people who come in and do different shifts Monday through Friday, and then our staff helped with that on the weekend. But we're unique in the fact that we're open every day of the week. Last year we provided, in our housing program, we provided over 60,000 meals to the individuals who live there, and we distributed over 100,000 pounds of food through our food pantry.
And the visitors that are coming there to the food pantry, who are these folks?
They're individuals in our community who really need some assistance. And they reach out. We also use our food pantry as a way of communicating to the folks who come by, the visitors who come to the food pantry, about other resources in the community. Are there other ways that we can help connect them? Are there other resources that they may need? During this time of year, we just, we get different donations of items. Right now, we're distributing hats and gloves and scarves, coats through the food pantry, making those things available for people who are coming in. So it's a
great connection point for you. And I would guess, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that you see all the demographics visiting the pantry. So families who may be getting assistance elsewhere, who it's just not enough to meet the need, families who don't meet the minimum requirement to get that assistance, elderly folks.
Yes, I mean, it really runs the gambit. We have one gentleman who comes in his wheelchair every few months to stop in because, he's disabled and he needs some food assistance. Young and old and everybody in between. Sometimes it's families who are experiencing a bout of unemployment. It's you can't tell who's going to come to the door and be in need. And we felt very strongly as an organization that we needed to be there to respond. That's why we extend the hours into the evening so that if people
working families
need to access those services, that we're there to be able to offer them to the community.
And you mentioned that, the food pantry, for example, is an excellent point for people to sort of approach Diakonia, and then you all, through the wide range of partnerships, can help figure out if there are places, either through VA benefits or other veterans benefits, through programs like MAC or senior services that might help those that are coming in that are elderly. Talk about some of the ways that you have engaged with community partners to help extend what Diakonia is able to provide in the community.
I would have to talk a little bit about some of our volunteer opportunities. Really, our volunteers come in and provide vital services, and they also serve as ambassadors to help the community learn more about what we're doing, what the need is, and ways that the community can get involved. We like to think about it as local people helping local people, and really working at building those relationships with others, whether it's through the collaboratives or looking at ways that we can partner to be able to provide information, services, linkages with other folks.
And this is that advocacy piece, right? Because so much of what you do through your docents, through your connections in the community, is really highlight homelessness as an issue and ways to address it that aren't just sort of the Band-Aid on the result right at the moment, but what are the underlying causes that are creating these needs in the community.
Yes, and also we talked earlier about the prevention component. If you can prevent or shorten the amount of time an individual and family is actually without a stable home environment, that really improves their ability to address some of those issues. Because once they've lost everything, it's a much more difficult climb. So that advocacy and raising the awareness, because there's a lot of stigma and stereotypes of who is homeless and what they do or what they don't do. And so we really try to raise that awareness. And we also encourage the people who need our services to get involved and to give back. Because we talk about community, and it's not just community helping us, but us helping the community, or the individuals who are living at Diakonia temporarily, pitching in and really being part of that smaller community, but encouraging them to volunteer, to get out there, to do different things that will help engage them in the community again.
And I know that over the years you've done a lot of work to help, for example, the women that are at Diakonia, helping them figure out how to form positive bonds with other women. And so that's an example, tying that together with the volunteer piece or that community engagement, because, you know, part of having that rewarding, satisfying, self-sufficient life, regardless of income level, is having those connections, feeling like you're a part of something, like you can give back. And that may be very small to start, but I think that, you know, that model that you embrace there of helping people feel engaged and connected and part, not just like they're receiving something.
Because free lunch isn't always a good thing all the time. So helping people discover what their gifts are, encouraging them to share them with each other. We have a women's group that meets weekly that really focuses on time, brings in speakers or people from the community to talk with them. We work with local banks who have programs to help with financial literacy. We have a savings component to our housing program where people are required to save part of their income, so that when they, and as they build
The life
those
skills.
relationships and those life skills, they feel that competence and ability, because by the time they come to us, they've really, their dignity has really been sort of tamped down. And we really help them to sort of dust that off and feel good about who they are, where they're going, and to have hope. So it's, you know, we help them today, and we provide, you know, we work with them to focus on the hope of tomorrow, of the things that they can do by the goals they address. We have case managers who work with our folks to help identify goals, and because we know that there needs to be some measurement in terms of when someone first accesses the service and then goes on to accomplish goals. So if you take some time to celebrate that and to recognize what people have been able to do, it really adds to their sense of, I can do this, and their hope.
And so that empowerment piece, that sort of, you know, helping to rebuild the individual and the family and, you know, sort of bring them back to the point where they feel like they can go out and be self-sufficient in the world. That is not a quick or simple process. And I know that you work really hard with your team of paid staff, which is a small and mighty team, but you depend really heavily on community members, businesses, other civic organizations, funders, volunteers. What are some of the ways that our viewers could get involved and support Diakonia and really, you know, sort of proactively make a difference right now?
There are many volunteer opportunities for people in the community, and I'm not just talking about, you know, sometimes when people volunteer, they think about simple tasks like stuffing envelopes. That's one, you know, and we...
And you certainly have those,
do,
I would assume.
We do have those opportunities, but we have, you know, there are many opportunities, and we involve volunteers from our board to our thrift shop, our food pantry. We have tutors who come in to work with our adults and with the children. I mean, there's a variety of ways that people can get involved. Do a cooking class, do a food drive in the community and help with those kinds of things. Go on our website and see what kinds of items we are in need of. We have a wish list that's constantly being updated and changed. There's different special events that we have to help raise funds for our programs.
Which you do a wonderful job with, but they are a tremendous amount of work, and so that team of volunteers really makes that happen.
They do, and they are incredible people. We have over 130 volunteers who are involved with the organization in some way. And as you mentioned, those partnerships, whether it be with the business community or the faith community, individuals, you know, we have a couple of students from Stephen Decatur High School who are working with us. It was a challenge to get our newsletter out because, as you said, there's a lot to be done and we're a small staff, but we've recruited a couple of the seniors from the local high school to come out and work with us on getting a monthly newsletter done.
That's
And
fabulous.
we're getting ready to publish our second, and it's all done electronically. So
they can work when it's convenient for them.
Exactly.
And everything. So before we wrap today, because I know that there are some exciting things on the horizon for Diakonia, and so I want to make sure that we talk a little bit about some of your future goals and sort of what's the vision for the next few years there for you.
We know that housing and affordable housing are key issues in working with the families and individuals that we work with in our community. So one of our goals is to develop affordable housing with some support so that people can have their own housing in the community in which they live and work, go to school, and have it be affordable, so that, because that's one of our biggest challenges when people are ready to move out.
Finding them
is
a place they
finding
can
them a place
afford.
where they can afford, because we work very hard on bringing together that sense of community. So that's our plan. We've identified land, we're working toward a capital campaign, and we're very excited about the potential partnerships.
And I know you've developed a great team of leaders to help, see this through, and have been working really hard to, identify the resources and identify the partners. And so it's so exciting, because that really speaks to one of the critical needs and one of the things that's part of that systematic change versus just addressing the needs as they present themselves. So I sincerely appreciate the time today. Are there any final thoughts on Diakonia or things that you'd like to highlight for viewers?
The one thing that I can say, Erica, is that we wouldn't be able to do what we do without the support of the community, no matter how small or how large or whatever they bring in to assist us is significant and is important, and we're very grateful for that, because we wouldn't be able to do what we do without that support and without the team of people that work with me day to day, shoulder to shoulder to get it done.
To make that happen. Well, thanks to you and that wonderful team that makes that all happen, and for all that you do right here on the Lower Shore for our most vulnerable residents.
You're welcome, and thank you.
You've been watching Community Foundation Spotlight. I'm Erica Joseph, President at the Community Foundation, and we appreciate your time here on the program, where our focus is on philanthropy.
Would you like to see your community organization or nonprofit group featured on PAC 14? To get started, contact us at 410-677-5014 or visit our website at www.pac14.org. PAC 14 is a great way to connect with your community.